The year is 1999. Interest in Star Wars is at an all-time high, culminating in the release of The Phantom Menace to a uniform cry of "Yay!" Wait, that sucked. However, nothing could stop the Lucas merchandise machine. Every kid was watching Star Wars, wearing Star Wars, eating Star Wars, breathing Star Wars. And of course, the next few years saw a whole host of video games as well. The crazy thing is that a lot of these games were actually really good. The Jedi Knight games were great, the Rogue Squadron games were great, the Battlefront games were great, and don't even get me started on the Knights of the Old Republic games. But not every game can be a hit. Sometimes you don't feel like doing the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, and you'll just settle for 14. Sometimes you're just like, fuck it, what are the kids these days like? Car fighting games? Let's just rip off that. It's all part of my original vision. Star Wars Demolition. The Twisted Metal ripoff with a Star Wars paint job. But hey, it's not that bad. I mean, look at this cover. Look at it. Look how awesome that is. You've got explosions and lasers and a droid taking a shit. How could you see this and not want to buy it? This game combines my two favorite things, Star Wars and Demolition. This truly is the ultimate Star Wars vehicular combat game, and it even features all your favorite Star Wars vehicles, like the Snowspeeder, Droid Battle Tank, Pod Racer, Boba Fett.
The Slave One and the Millennium Falcon locked in combat. Suddenly the Slave One unleashes its secret weapon.
So the plot of these games doesn't really matter all that much. It's a bunch of people thrown into an arena who fight each other to the death. It's basically the equivalent of a kid playing with toys going like, and then Darth Vader and Jango Fett are fighting the Emperor, and it's like, and then the Power Rangers show up. However, this being a Star Wars game, the developers saw fit to over-explain everything. What basically goes down is that Jabba the Hutt is all upset because the mean old Empire outlawed pod racing, effectively cutting off his gambling revenue. Now, I don't know why they do a silly thing like that. It always seemed like such a fun and safe sport. So to make this money back, Jabba decides that it'd be a great idea to host a series of vehicular gladiator fights between the toughest sons of bitches in the galaxy. These names strike fear into the hearts of men, Wookiees, and Gungans alike. Names like Wade Fox, General Otto, Tia, and Gia. Quagga. Is this a Star Wars game or an IKEA catalog? One thing I'll say is that I really dig the menu here. It all takes place in Jabba's palace and features all the regulars. You've got Lin Mi as your somersaulting tentacle head Vanna White. There's Bib Fortuna, who reads off the list of levels like he's trying to seduce you.
Badun Si, Dagobah,
Yavin 4.
Then there's the Cantina Band, the greatest jizz whalers in the galaxy. Who weren't actually in Return of the Jedi, but whatever. And Jabba himself even shows up to photobomb the camera. There's no Max Rebo though. Guess we'll never know if he actually has legs. So let's start off with something simple like Tatooine, and I'll play as Boba Fett, because of course I'm gonna play as Boba Fett. This should be exciting. Remember that cover? Remember it? Yeah. Huh. You're not really moving all that fast, buddy. What? Oh, you've gotta hold X, 'cause it's a car game, and you have to hit the acceleration on the Boba Fett.
Suddenly the Slave One unleashes its secret weapon.
So this game is pretty hectic. We've got lasers flying everywhere and controls that are slippier than I'd like, but honestly that's not the worst thing ever. Every character has the same laser blast attack that you fire by pressing R2. However, if you hold it down, you charge up your weapon, which, after filling the whole meter, fires a character-specific special attack. Some of these are really useful, like Boba's homing missiles. Others, not so much. There are 3 bars that you need to pay attention to in this game. There's your health bar in green, your shield bar in blue, and your ammo bar in red. The ammo gets depleted by using your R2 attacks as well as secondary weapon pickups, which you activate with L2, and your shields go down as you get shot, obviously. However, both of these can be replenished by going into either a blue or red glowing area. These can be a building like here on Tatooine, a tree like on Dagobah, or even between the shield generators on Hoth. Get it? The shield generator generates your shield? I thought it was clever. These recharge stations become pretty popular though, resulting in awkward situations like this. Your health bar can't recharge though. When that's gone, you're gonna die.
You're so taking people gon' die.
One thing that throws me off about this game is the scale of the characters. Despite the stats looking different in regards to whatever the hell these mean, each character feels more or less equal in terms of how many hits you can take or how much firepower you can unload. But this fucks with your head when you're an Imperial Walker and the other player's an itty bitty droid speeder and it frickin' kills you. Or I'll be Aura Singh in her tiny swoop bike and I'll wreck a big ass Rancor just as easily as I wreck anything else. I get that this is for balance, but come on. Now, the levels in this game are fine for the most part. I mean, all you really need for a Twisted Metal style car game is a circular arena with stuff in it, and this game has plenty of that. The Tatooine Dune Sea map is just a hilly plain with some rocks, a couple buildings. Then there's Dagobah, which is a flat swamp with some trees. Mos Eisley has some buildings you can drive through. Cloud City has some walkways, which add some verticality to the gameplay. Yavin is a big old temple surrounded by trees. Hoth is a canyon with some Imperial walkers dancing. And also there's a map on the second Death Star that has tunnels that teleport you all over the place, making it just so fun to actually try to find anyone. Also, the idea of there being vehicle death matches on a small portion of the Death Star is really funny to me. Like Jabba sent one of his guys to the Empire like, hey, another Death Star, that's great, that's great. Say, would it be cool if we host some gladiator fights for money over there? What? Cool, thanks! However, that doesn't even approach the strangeness of the strangest map. You may be wondering, where's all the episode 1 maps? Well, oh boy. So there actually is one episode 1 map, which is, of course,
Naboo.
And so I'm thinking it's probably gonna be the big Windows XP wallpaper grassy field that the droids and Gungans fight in at the end of the movie, like they did in Battlefront 1. Or maybe they'll do the Naboo City and you'll maneuver down streets and around buildings like they did in Battlefront 2. Nope. Huh. Weird statues. Well, okay, that guy's up there, so I'm gonna chase him. I mean, it looks enough like Naboo, I guess. I mean, there's the funky architecture and the city backdrop with all the Huh. You remember that part where Liam Neeson went through a magic portal to go around Naboo? 'Cause I sure don't. Actually, that might have improved the movie. Would have cut out all this crap. So the teleporters drop you at random points around the map, and they change places every time they're used, making this by far the most confusing arena, even more so than the Death Star and its stupid tunnels. And since the map's a square and there's no detail on the minimap besides enemy location, there's literally no way to orient yourself when you go through a teleporter. Oh, except for those statues in the middle, which, by the way, are actually a giant chess set featuring Gungans and droids. You remember that part where Jar Jar Binks played chess with the battle droid Sorcerer's Stone style? 'Cause I sure don't. I'm all for originality, but none of the other levels are even close to being this weird. Like the Dagobah map doesn't randomly feature a giant game of swamp backgammon. You better get used to these levels too, cause you'll be playing them a lot to unlock all the characters. There's no story mode or progression system, just the single match battle modes and the tournament mode, which is where all the character unlocking happens. The tournament mode has you fight in a series of normal battles, each getting progressively harder. You also get some pretty awesome pre-rendered cutscenes. There's also a dumb mode where you see how many droids you can kill in a certain time limit, and an incredibly asinine game mode called High Stakes, where you bet a certain amount of space cash on yourself each game. However, there's not even any stakes at all, because you're just given 1,000 fucking Target logos every time you play. It's not your money, you have nothing to lose, and then that money doesn't even carry over to anything else. It's like Chuck E. Cheese tokens without any prizes. It's like if you went to a casino and instead of cashing money for chips, they just gave you a bunch to play with. And regardless of if you win or lose, they just take them back in the end anyway, like, hey kid, thanks for playing. A real high stakes mode would have been super fun. Imagine if this game played more like you're a manager for one of these killers, and you use in-game currency to build him up and level up his fucking this. And then you play the game and it's like, wow, I'm invested. Literally. I have stakes in this match that matter to me and my Star Wars Gladiator. Like maybe you'd lose if you placed poor bets or lost a ton of matches and then your career's over. That would have been awesome. It'd make the whole Jabba the Hutt gambling thing seem so much more important to the game. Instead, all it is an opening crawl. Just background noise for an okay game. But yeah, even after all my bitching, it's still a pretty fun game. I found myself having a ton of fun playing this game. It's just the right amount of skill where deaths don't feel too cheap. And a lot of the characters are fun too. Boba Fett's great, Aurra Singh's great, the AT-ST's great, and how could you go wrong with a Wookiee in a tank? I mean, it's a Wookiee driving a tank. Though maybe all this is just the nostalgia talking again. This is another one of those PlayStation games that I loved as a kid. I was a huge Star Wars fan as a child, and I would constantly ask my dad to rent this game over and over again. But this game had its hooks in me. My brother and I played it way too much, so when I finally saw it again and picked it up, I was super interested in seeing if I still liked it after all these years. And I do. Kind of. It's a decent Star Wars game, but it doesn't have nearly enough to do. It's fun for maybe an hour or so, but after that you're just left wanting more. You want more depth. You want more gameplay. You want it to feel like more than just a cash grab because, hey, Star Wars is back in theaters. I don't know, man. It's fun, but ultimately disappointing.
This is very, very bad. Oh!